I suppose, I mean, it sort of follows on from what we were talking about last time you and I spoke, because it's about observing what the children are doing it. And you can do it, I suppose you can do it two ways. There's two ways to review the environment. You can do it like anecdotally, so like what you notice. So what you might notice is that all the children are piled in the garden and playing X, Y, and Z in the garden.
Yeah.
And so you might want to sort of think about what's causing them to go into the garden that's so exciting, and see if you can replicate it somewhere else. That's one way of doing it.
Okay.
Or you might notice, like I think I said in the last one, you've got one area that no one goes to. It's like a graveyard. And then you think, why is that? And then that can cause a review. Or you can do it more systematically.
Okay.
But so you can think, I think the important thing is what do you need the environment to do for you? That's where you need to start. So I was thinking about it, and I was thinking that for me, I don't know if other settings have this, but we were always given profile data. So the data from the early years foundation stage profile. So from that data, we could work out maybe, and we had it tracked to our setting. So the local authority tracked it back to each setting. So we were able to see, this group of children that went up were kind of really good at X, but not so good at Y. And we had a lot of data that we used to be given. So, for example, in one place we're working, the speech and language outcomes for children were really, really poor. So if you know the speech and language outcomes for children are really, really poor, then you need your environment to promote speech and language.
Yes.
So you can, that's more sort of responding to data, responding to the kind of cohort needs, the area needs. So for example, I'm just thinking about the speech and language because it's probably quite topical at the moment,
definitely.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So when that was the data that was coming to me, I needed to make sure. Well, first of all, I used the Every Child a Talker toolkit to review the areas, work out where the children were talking and what kind of talk was happening, because I wanted to encourage peer-peer talk, because a lot of peer-peer talk wasn't happening. So I looked at where it was happening, and the only places it were happening are the places where they could hide out of sight. Well, if that's the case, then you need to get the environment needs to provide more hidey holes. Do you see what I'm saying? So it just depends what you're trying to do. If your profile data, or it's not just the profile data, it's the data of the area. If you know your area, you know your children. So I've worked in areas where there's very high levels of domestic abuse. Okay, so if you've got high levels of domestic abuse, you need your environment to enable the children to kind of make sense of some of those things that are happening in their homes. So you need a really good, strong home corner that reflects everyone's cultural backgrounds and has enough stuff in it to help them to play out and work out those sorts of things that are happening. So it just depends what you're trying to achieve by your environment.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And you can kind of use both of those, I suppose, the needs of those children and then what you notice as well.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's both. There's the immediate needs of the children. So you might have a group of children that get really, really, I don't know. I mean, they're really, really into throwing or something like that. There's a group of kids that just want to throw things around all over the shop. Well, if that's the case, you've got to work out how your environment will enable sort of safe throwing, whether it's inside or outside. Or if you've got, the other one that happens a lot is you have children that just climb all over the shop, don't you? So it's like you have to work out what does the environment offer them. So those are the immediate needs. And then you've got the kind of, the sort of broader needs, like, now it's legislated for, but I worked in an area where the tooth decay, the teeth health with oral health was really, really poor. So we needed the environment to reflect something about that. So that would be a very good sort of observation to set up a dentist's, thing, or to have, you know, a table with all those kind of books about teeth and objects with teeth, and have the little teeth going chitter chatter chitter chatter, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you're responding to those sorts of things as well as to what the children are actually doing there, if that makes sense.
It does, and actually it really makes sense because I equally work somewhere where oral health was a big problem, and that's been highlighted as well in the revisions. So it's definitely something to think about in terms of the environment, because I think a lot of people think, oh, let's, you know, do the songs and maybe, you know, talk about it, get a dentist in, but not necessarily change much in the environment. So that's really nice to kind of bring up.